realistically, there is no need for Natlan. Greetings, my lady. Subscribe! We are back with another Genshin Impact video, and I'm reacting today to Vars II's video, Is Natlan Region Locking Its Character, the Future Meta of Genshin Impact? Now, I reacted to this video, I started on stream, but then I finished off reacting off stream because I got a little distracted. But the main point that I'm trying to drive home here is I'm not sure if I like the direction Genshin Impact is going with the characters. The TLDRs, I feel like it is overall potentially going to be meaningless, because if they're going to start region locking and region power creeping characters, all of these characters are useless within the next 9 months when HSR comes out. So we had a pretty open discussion. I talked about a lot of things, even some things not included in the video. Endgame, had people in chat disagreeing with me, had some people agreeing with me. And I think it's overall a pretty cool discussion. I want people to give their thoughts. So that being said, let's get right into it. Natlan has been really diving into this thing called FOMO. Forget about, I was going to come up with a funny acronym, but I'm not being witty
During
right
version
now.
4's announcement, the special program gave mention to a unique exploration mechanic related to Fontaine, the arc system consisting of 2 special properties, Numa and Dosia.
That fucking exploration system's ass. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. That shit is not good. I'm just sorry. It just is not enjoyable the way that it should be. I'm just gonna keep it a stack.
While they presented an integral aspect of exploration throughout Fontaine, from a combat perspective, aside from a few niche interactions, the practical strength of characters hailed from Fontaine was not at all influenced by those mechanics. For the most part, they would contribute a tiny increase in damage that specifically interacts with certain enemy mechanics. For example, the Coppelius boss could have their cryo shield instantly broken when struck by an Osea attack. It was a convenience meant to encourage the use of Fontainian units. However, by and large, you could easily navigate your way through all facets of the region without really even being aware of the existence of the arc system. Natlan presents an exclusive combat and exploration mechanic of its own, the Night Soul's Blessing, only this one has a lot more influence on both core aspects of Genshin Impact. Though we have only 2 playable units so far, with Kanisha on the way because of its greater involvement within Wolani and Kachina's kit.
Exploring in Natlan doesn't feel that great, and then exploring out of Natlan feels 20 times worse, right? Like if you take Mualani anywhere outside of Natlan, it feels like a waste of time because it immediately drains almost instantaneously. Kanich has a 60% cooldown on his Spider-Man, 60% less cooldown. So even though you could Spider-Man, you could still only do it once. If you teleport, if you Spider-Man to another, like one of those little waypoints in the air, like you hit T on, you could technically do it a teleport twice. But you know, it's kind of like, Shan Yun is still better. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like Shan Yun is still king. You know, I think we've seen a pattern every Natlan character will a moveset of an animal from there. Hot take, I think the animal movements are still pretty mid though. I think the animals not being able to use their skills multiple times. I know that the Spider-Man one can like do it twice. You do Spider-Man jump Spider-Man, but it's not effective on structures. You can't run up walls with them. It's pretty fucking like it's just not. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel. I think they overhyped it way too much. I think they genuinely overhyped it, and now I'm left being disappointed. Okay,
It's
really
along with it being present beyond characters.
You know,
really as it may be, I think we're getting a rather clear picture as to what the future
you're gonna wail on his
going to be
weapon
for version 5. And to be honest with you, I can't tell if it's explicitly a good or bad direction to take because there are pros and cons to this approach. Today's video will be a discussion on region locking, how it's being instituted throughout Natlan, and what are some possible consequences of this, positive and negative. Region locking is a mechanic you see every so often, and the intentions behind it along with its execution can be an essential component to enhancing a game's experience or resulting in the complete downfall of it. Conceptually, the key merit of making a content region exclusive is that it can break the monotony of games, particularly that of live service games. For many, they enjoy the process of starting.
The reason why this is going to be like such a massive negative effect when Shesnaya comes out is because they're just going to generate something different that's not Night Soul points. And you can't travel with these people in Shesnaya the way you do now. And you're going to feel like you wasted your money in your Primo Gems. Unless they make that Philosophagen bullshit like a consumable, which I think they should. They should make that shit a consumable that you can buy for like 5 stones or something. And you can fill it up if you run out of Night Soul points. This is just going to make you feel like in Fontaine, nobody thought anyone would be better than Nouvelette or Arlecchino. They're like, bro, it can't get fucking better than this. It fucking can't. And then they drop 2 units that could potentially out DPS Nouvelette come 5.3. It's pretty fucking crazy. they're power creeping hard, and they're power creeping the previous people with artifact sets and the synergies of the skills. So I don't know, man. It's kind of wild. It's kind of fucking nutty. What up, Zard? Damn it, brother. Welcome in. Have a great day today. Get to the back after Tartaglia, L.
Fresh, like
Sorry,
a player who starts a new Minecraft world every time they come back to it instead of continuing where they left off. In MMOs, you can usually find that supposed fresh experience by starting a brand new character or class, notably if you're attempting some sort of Iron Man challenge, or like how the Nuzlocke playstyle has become more and more popular throughout the Pokemon community. Region locking is one such variant of the experience of starting anew, only it's without having to make a brand new account for everything. From one area to another, Mondstadt to Liyue to Inazuma to Sumeru to Fontaine, the experience of Genshin has been a cumulative journey, collecting more resources and acquiring new characters as you travel from one area to the next. And while that still applies to Natlan, it's not like you're completely unable to use your existing party, a number of things have been made present that encourage the use of native characters, far more than what has been present before. Obviously in Sumeru there were many things that incentivize the use of Dendro characters and the aforementioned arc system for Fontaine, but Natlan has taken things much further in that respect. Exploration-wise, let's talk a bit more about Night Soul. Characters from Natlan can utilize what's called phlogiston engraving to gain special properties while traveling through the area. As an example, Milani's surfing ability can last significantly longer when using her Night Realm's gift passive, wherein she can replenish her Night Soul points. Furthermore, while moving on water or lava, the rate of depletion for Night Soul and phlogiston is much less while inside Natlan.
In particular content, what makes it needed to what makes it event pass content and sucks big time. I said this in another video. I think the annoying thing about Genshin and with Natlan is characters. Actually, here, this is the part that I don't understand. Right? Hold on, let me move this over. This is the part that kind of blows my mind a little bit. Right? Characters. And then we'll put over here content. What content? Okay. So you have both, right? Cool. Make it big, bold, and letters. Yeah. Okay. Their characters are consistently getting stronger. Like they're just actually getting stronger, and Natlan had a massive peak. Like Natlan's peak is kind of fucking crazy. Natlan's peak is insane. Fucking insane. The content in the game is consistently getting easier. It is consistently getting easier, and it was before Natlan came out. Before Natlan came out, the content was still easy. Now that Natlan is here, and these characters are here, it's just 20 times easier. It is just 20 times easier. And so it's like, I don't understand. Realistically, you cannot pull any of these Natlan characters and clear all the content in the game the same exact way. Low-key, when you world level 12, yeah, you're not even using the MS Paint, brother. Hey, listen, they could add a dish to restore that too. I agree, Panda. But like, you could run through this game and still use like a Melt Ganyu or a C2 Raiden and complete the Abyss. And the Imaginarium Theater is honestly just RNG based, right? So I'm gonna be honest though, like it does not even matter for Genshin. No, I hate to come on my part, but it's literally character collector. But I think that's the problem. All of these other gacha games, do they feel like character collectors? Yes, but they also feel some need and purpose to get the characters due to the fact that there's an actual level of difficulty to it, especially Star Rail. Star Rail does a really good job. Now you could say it's bad, or you could say it's good depending on like the FOMO, but Star Rail does a good job of making you feel like you have to get the new character that comes out for the end game. Wuwa does a pretty decent job of it so far. I don't know enough about ZZZ, but I assume ZZZ is doing a pretty decent job. Genshin Impact has no incentive to fucking pull anyone, like at all. It's fucking annoying, and it's pretty stupid. And it's like, yes, there's a character collector, of course, but it could be so much more. And so this shit is just overkill. Like this is all overkill. You know what I mean? Like realistically, there is no need for Natlan characters. There's no need for it. It's just to be cool. Even traversing through the land, it still feels like ass with Natlan characters, and it's gonna still feel like shit with Kanich. So there's real no purpose for pulling for anyone. And I can make that argument saying no purpose for anyone in Gacha, but that's just a different conversation. To climb the new mountains, I agree. Also, what's up, Scarlet Damn, brother? Welcome in. How you feeling? starting to wear on me with the meta creep, honestly. Yeah, I think there is a perfect balance, right? I think there's a balance with the meta creep. And Genshin does a bad job with it. But Star Rail, their shit is crazy. It goes characters, and then after that, it'll go content, and we'll make this a different color. And then the characters, low key, will start to do good. And then they'll dip pretty hard, like the old ones. And then after that, the new ones will get a massive increase. And then it'll eventually dip. And then they'll come back and bring these 1.0 characters back to the top with a new support, right? We'll just put new support. And it's like a complete cycle. And then the content is just progressively getting harder. It's just getting harder. And so it's like, this is a little overkill, but at least it keeps the game interesting and fun for players, where it's like, okay, like I have to actually think. Genshin Impact is fucking brain dead to the maximum. Even after Natlan is finished, I guarantee you Neuvillette Arlecchino will be top in the list of the Abyss. Most used characters, sure. I wouldn't be surprised, but when you use Arlecchino, you think to yourself, how the fuck is someone going to do more damage than this? And then they drop Mualani and Kanich, who arguably can do more damage. And will do more damage once we have the full artifact sets, the full characters, their full kits unlocked. So it's pretty wild. Is stronger than Nuvia at the same con. Doesn't see. She does a few big numbers, but using both, they seem relatively balanced. Bro, Mualani is hitting massive damage numbers, not including the new artifact set, right? For your support, and not including the 3 times damage you'll get from her nuke burst, right? So she's gonna be better. Obviously, Neuvillette's better in AOE. Without a doubt. But Mualani is just overall probably going to be the better unit because of the scaling and how it works. It's basically, oh, you 112. I need to clear those runs. Exactly, yeah. I see that. I just don't think Genshin will ever be more than a character collector. Seems like they want it to be like Zelda game. They've got restricted travel to once you travel to solve puzzles, team building and reactions is cool for sure, but I don't think they'll make contents like legitimately challenging for the foundation for combat. Exactly. And I don't disagree with you. But so then why make this? I mean, obviously, it's to sell money. Maybe that's a silly question, right? But it just feels like a waste. It feels like a waste of the game. Feels like a waste of the game. And it just feels like, they could be doing much better. What up, Booma? But then you ask yourself, do I need more damage? That's what I'm saying. If you take a step back and you're like, yo, I have Neuvillette, I have Arlecchino. Fuck that. I have Hyper Bloom. Do I need more damage? No. The answer is just straight up no. You don't need more damage. Because there is nothing in the game that is making the game fucking harder. There is nothing that is going to give you that increase. You know what I'm saying? That's the part that I'm like, realistically, none of this shit is needed. It's fucking wasteful. I've fallen deep depression after 5 stacking with some friends. And what waffles? But that's my take on it. So we'll watch the video, but I just think it's silly. I think they have so much potential. But realistically, all of this shit is a waste, if you really think about it.
As opposed to when surfing outside, which makes it obvious
so playing
that
Genshin
Mualani's not going to be able to surf as long in Fontaine, Sumeru, Inazuma, or the like, especially considering there's no lava in any of those regions. Though I wouldn't call this game-breaking, the intention is self-evident. Mualani's meant to be played in Natlan, and primarily with the Natlan. With a similar Night Soul-oriented mechanic being present in Kachina's kit, it's safe to assume most if not all Natlan characters will have this gameplay element, making their respective means of travel not as efficient when used outside of their homeland. It doesn't outright disable us from using them not within Natlan, but the loss of efficiency is enough to matter. The exact numbers escape me, but I believe Mualani can only surf for like 8 seconds in other regions as opposed to over 20 seconds in Natlan. Now you guys know that exploration is secondary on this channel. I like to mainly zero in on the combat aspects. As covered before, this isn't the first time an external system exclusively affected a group of characters, but while arc alignment does give you some special perks when fighting Fontainian enemies, the advantage isn't so big that alternatives are suddenly made irrelevant. It's unclear as to what extent Hoyo plans to make region locking affect the game, but it is shaping to be a measurable extent. Character-wise, again it's just Kachina, Mualani, and Kanish, but Kachina notably has a...
Hi, man. Doggy, it's late, bro. Let me know when you get home safe, my love. Anyways, lose-lose. When you try to keep characters balanced, people complain, why do I need these characters? I don't need them more damage. If you do make them stronger, why are you power creeping? It's not needed. No, I think that's a different argument. What you're saying is they shouldn't make new characters because people complain, which is fine. They can complain when they want. I'm saying, why are you power creeping people if there's no actual any end game reference to it other than the fact that they just want monetary value from it? Which I get it, it's a business. But don't you think they would make more money if they made harder content that required these characters, or made it feel like a game, like you have to pull them in some aspect? You know what I'm saying? Monetary value is the answer, you know, but it's fucking stupid. They're in a difficult spot though, as people are already complaining about the Imaginarium Theorem because they don't have enough characters for it. Essentially, they're complaining. Okay, the problem with the Imaginarium Theorem, excuse me, is that it is a flawed system, right? It's not that it's hard. In itself, Imaginarium Theater is easy, or it brings a different level of gameplay element to it. It's flawed in the sense that you only have 3 elements, and it resets every month. The game is already scarce on giving you resources to level up characters, level up talents, level up weapons. And so by you going to the Imaginarium Theater, if you're a new player, or even if you're an older player, right, like myself, I don't have enough characters for the last level, but I also don't give a fuck, bro. I got my mom's credit card, you know what I'm saying? I'll just use my mom's credit card. She won't mind. Right? There's not enough resources to level those characters. And so by the time you level, let's say, enough characters for you to get to the Imaginarium Theater hardest level by week 3, and you can't complete that in 1 week, by week 4, it resets, and now you don't have that element, and you're absolutely fucked. That's why Imaginarium Theater is fucking dog shit. Just straight up. Like, that game mode is just fundamentally flawed. If they gave you more resources, that would make sense. But it's not bad because of the character things. It's bad because there's no resource. Well, it's part of that. At the same time, they're aiming at a game mode that I played every day for 3+ years, and the people who don't play as much are complaining. If they release new content that requires new characters, that'll put off the same people who don't have the time to keep building characters. So you can't please everyone, of course, right? There's no way of pleasing everyone. But you could still release harder content. You could just release a floor 13, a floor 14, a floor 15. I mean, there's endless things that they could do, right? Like saying Imaginarium Theater, I agree. I'm with you in the sentiment of that. It's harder content. It's content that should not be like Osteo, right? Osteo just started playing the fucking video game. There's no reason why Osteo should be able to go to Imaginarium Theater and clear it within the first month, unless he just fucking whales and resin refreshes, right? So I agree that harder content should take time to clear, but that system is just not a good system. Like, when people say, hey, I want harder content, they're not saying, don't let me use the characters I don't want to use, right? That's another big problem with that system, where it's like, oh, first of all, it's not a real roguelike. There's not enough levels. The boons don't matter as much, even with the new system. The new boons are cool, but they don't work the same way like the Simuni boons work. You know what I'm saying? So that already is kind of like, and they're limiting you on what you can and cannot use. So it's kind of like that system itself is like, is New Imaginarium any better? Oh, that's a good video to watch. We'll watch that after. So, I'll click smart, true and real. Even hardships, character check. The mobs are way easier than the Abyss. Yeah. Would you borrow more friends' characters? That too. I don't think every character should be busted damage-wise. Like, sure, make Archons, Dragons, and Adeptize. Why is a random Surfer girl hitting 400k? Well, she's only going to get stronger, too, is the thing. Big E, the longer we have this conversation, the more I realize Genshin really just ain't the game for you, my boy. Yeah, no, I understand that it is a cute gacha game, and I enjoy the game for what it is, but I also just want it to reach that potential. I think what I'm doing is I'm putting MMO or endgame expectations, but I don't think it's unrealistic expectations, bro. Look at Star Rail. Like, I'm going to log into my Star Rail account right now, and there's like 17 endgame mode activities, and the game is out not as long. Zenless Zone Zero has more endgame than Genshin. They just got a resin bank. I feel like I understand, right? If I'm saying, okay, drop a mode like Horde mode, right? You're not considering what the Genshin community is. I think the Genshin community and the Star Rail community are pretty similar. Well, they're both toxic assholes, but I think it's similar enough to the point where that it's like, why can't you just do these little things? I agree that Magic Theater is being flawed content. I think that they're looking at it as a way to incentivize people to pull more characters, which is fucking stupid. Just make it like New Universe Honkai Star if there are other characters that are not leveled enough. Yeah, I agree. How many people here showed up for the Abyss help? A lot of people show up for Abyss help, but that's also, you can't go by my metrics or like Genshin's metrics, right? Like, how many people? 6.8K are watching Genshin Impact right now. Just off of the looks of it, is anyone doing Abyss? No.
One.
No.
You are one dumb son of
You
a
are one
bitch.
dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Joe, I love you. I appreciate the fucking resub, brother. Thank you, my goat. How are you feeling today, bro? Joe, are you going to TwitchCon? I got a free launch. Star Red always does this. They could add more. They just went to the game. I agree. I think they could add more. There's different devs on each game. If I had to guess, Genshin's holding back endgame content since the main part of this being open world. But they nerfed, like, I don't know, man, maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I think the open world... Hold on, we're going on Genshin real quick. While we watch this video, I think the exploration in Natlan is the most clunky shit in the world. And I think it just brings out the negative feelings I have for Genshin. Like, I go to Natlan and I'm like, this is cute, but this shit feels clunky, and this is supposed to be the saving grace of the game that fixes the movement. And then I go to other regions and I'm even more depressed. Like, hold on a second, where is this? Let me pull this up. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. I think Genshin could save themselves if they're more generous overall. I agree. That's another part. Like, they're not generous in the slightest. They really don't give anything. I mean, granted, they're giving us a 20 pull, you know. Well, they should give us a 3 pulls, you know. Like, look at this shit. Nah, flight tickets, that's valid. That's valid. I get that. Every Genshin streamer I've watched so far does Abyss. How the community is casual already has trouble with the Abyss. Bro, and that's a valid argument. That's a valid argument. That's 100% true. I can't... You can't counter argue that. What I can counter argue though is that the game just, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think of the Natlan exploration? I think it's cute, but like, okay, watch this shit. You have hardcore player syndrome? I do. Done. Nothing to do. There's nothing else. Watch this. You ready? It's like these characters are a fucking waste because they don't help you in the end game that much. They do damage, but the end game is already easy. And then she could climb up walls, right? All right, let's go to Natlan. Go to Natlan. Where is this? I don't even know where fucking Natlan is. Let's go here. No, sorry, no, we're gonna do Star Rail, but I wanted to watch this video, but this video is just like now if I put Mualani here, right? It's obviously a little bit smoother, of course. But this shit is so silly. Why am I pulling for a character who has good movement only in one region? Cool. And now I have more time. If you make a consumable that can make this like last longer, dope, but even that. Am I bugging? Am I the problem? Like, forget the endgame. Forget the fucking endgame bullshit. Let's find a Saurian real quick. The Saurians are clunky as fuck. This dickhead. What do I do from here? What the fuck do you do? Bro, homie did that. Fuck to. You can climb forever with the green one. Inaccurate. You can climb for 2 seconds with the green one. The Saurians are clunky as fuck. Except the water one. The water one is smooth. In the air, I mean. What? I guess they want people to pull the characters rather than meta. Honestly, I think it's the purpose to incentivize pulling characters. I think you could do a couple floating islands that are willing to drop more. Like, I did not want Knitch before, but I hate the Green Saurian so much that now I want him. Yeah, and it's fun. And the thing is with Knitch, this is Knitch, though. This is all he is. This is lit. He'll only be able to fly, and then it's a 60-second cooldown, so maybe be like 2 seconds before he could fly again. And so he's literally just a breathing Saurian. That's all he is, right? I feel like this is just like a waste of time. Like, that is not good movement. That is not good movement. That is not making the Saurians playable. It doesn't. Like, a weird, clunky-ass tech that is probably going to get patched out is pretty ass. Janky-ass movement? It's janky as fuck. I can show you. Can I show you? No, there's no need to show me, though. Like the point is not that you can do some weird tech and like, wave dash to have good movement. The point is that they don't have good movement. You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem. I hate how Tina's and Mulani skills are significantly shorter in any other region. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's so fucking dumb. It is so silly. You are better off if you have Shanyun just using Shanyun to explore. Like Yelan. How does Yelan's movement outdo all of these characters in any other region? Locking the movement to one region, it makes it feel like an exclusive club, and then you just feel fucking goofy. And then again, to me, it makes the game feel even more outdated gameplay-wise than it is because of how janky it is. Like, forget the fucking endgame shit. Forget that. Fuck all that bullshit. This is the best movement character. And C1's even better. It's so silly. It's so fucking silly. So that's my point. Like, but let's see. Let's fucking continue. It's fucking silly. What about Wanderer? Wanderer's good too. Wanderer's good too for exploration for sure, without a doubt. I'm leaving him out just because he's a little emo boy. But yeah. So Celestial's Fire. I'll look at it after. Okay, we're only 3 minutes into the video. This recording is 36 minutes. I've been yapping for 36 minutes. We're only 3 minutes in. What's going on, Loom? How you feeling, brother? Dab me up. Welcome in. How are you? Have a great day today. Natlan, when you have 4 characters to infinite swap between, the infinite swap will not be infinite because you don't have that philoplosin as a consumable, whatever the fuck it's called, and you'll run out of it, unfortunately.
Other reasons, he wants to be paired up with their fellow companions. Ganesh has something similar too. One of his passive talents also entails a party member triggering a Night Soul Burst. Obviously, they don't have to explicitly be paired up with other Natlan units as they can just do it themselves, but the point still stands. They're trying to push modern
Everyone go follow.
Parties. If that wasn't evidence enough, consider the new equipment we have.
Go to bed, Joe. I love you, brother.
The new artifacts
go to bed,
Sanctum of Rainbow Spirits. For the uninitiated, the first 2 sets of version 5.0 are the Skull of the Hero of Cinder City and the Obsidian Codex.
These two are fucking busted. This is the other thing. Like, these are actually cracked fucking artifact sets. This is the other part of the power creep, which I don't mind power creep to artifact sets. I think that's 100% fair. I think that's all. I think that's game because you can farm this set for 1 million years with 1 million resin and never get a good roll. So that's okay to me.
These 2 artifacts currently rank among the best in the game, offering bonuses that make previous overpowered artifact sets look in comparison. Starting with Cinder City, the 2-piece bonus is a serviceable battery component, generating 6 particles whenever a Night Soul Burst is triggered. A Night Soul Burst happens whenever Natlan characters and only Natlan characters deal elemental damage. Depending on the number of Natlan party members, the cooldown of said burst can be as high as 18 seconds or as low as 9 seconds. Just the 2-piece bonus alone is a clear indication that this artifact set can only be fully optimized when using a party consisting of no less than 3 Natlan characters, but it goes beyond that. The 4-piece bonus is beyond insane. You guys remember Kazuha, right? The guy who gives the entire party bonus elemental damage
this changes
for
everything.
Existing at 1k elemental mastery, that amounts to 40%. Well, the 4-piece bonus of Cinder City grants the entire party 12% bonus elemental damage whenever triggering a reaction for the elemental types involved in that reaction. So hypothetically, if you have this set on a Dendro character and you trigger Bloom, then the entire party deals bonus Hydro and Dendro damage. Additionally, if the equipping character is in Night Soul Blessing, the party gets an extra 28% for a grand total of 40% bonus elemental damage for all.
Yeah, that set's stupid, brother. That set is fucking insane. Cinder City is kind of nuts. Just slapped on Kachina and this set is fucking stupid. Like, this is going to be the best. They shouldn't release any other artifact sets, honestly, throughout Natlan. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no point. They've absolutely started with the 2 best sets. Everything else is gonna be fucking ass. Like, it's just not gonna compare. My local Natlan artifact domain is very bad, and not to be a dick, but that's why I don't mind this because you could have shit luck. You could have absolutely the worst luck in the world, and then another set like Emblem will still be better for your Shang Lang or whatever character, So I don't mind power creep through these means, Yo, what's going on, Vu? How you feeling, brother? Devin, man, welcome in. I hope you're having a great day today. But I'm about to get to the expression 100, but my mad list 2 months that I've been exploring Natlan. I feel frustrated some of the puzzles I have. First of all, Natlan's way better than the rest of the regions. That's why I like region. That's valid. It's better. It's definitely the best region. But man, I don't want to. I don't know, man. I don't like being negative. I don't like being negative. I don't. But like I literally came in with like no expectations. And then I think they overhyped it so much that I bought into it. And now I'm kind of just like, all right. Like it's cool, you know?
All party members lasting 20 seconds. Kasa's passive only runs for 8 seconds. This is incredible, not only because the equipping character can trigger this off-field, but because it can boost the damage of multiple elements at the same time, even including that of Dendro, Geo, and Anima, which are not considered for things like Virtus and Venera or Kasa's passive, under the sole condition that the only units who can actually acquire that 40% bonus are Natlan characters. Unless year after they release units not from Natlan who can obtain Night Soul Blessing, which I highly doubt they will, only Natlan characters can use this set. As for Obsidian Codex, it too can only be utilized by Natlan characters. The 2-piece affords you a 15% increase in damage while on Night Soul Blessing, self-explanatory but substantial for a 2-piece set. Then, if you consume Night Soul points, the 4-piece...
Bro, the fact that you can get 40 crit rate without even like consuming your health and just straight up playing the video game is what makes it so fucking stupid. It makes it absolutely so broken.
Night Soul at all times. This artifact set is Marshall Say Hunter on steroids, but once again, you can only use this on Natlan characters. Region locking extends beyond artifacts too. Weaponry is also involved. Take the new 4-star Chainbreaker bow. This one flat out says, for every party member from Natlan who is a different elemental type from the equipping character, said character gains bonus attack.
Alright, but that's not new though. That's not new. They have weapons where it's like leeway only weapons. Like that's not that broken. Like that's not that big of a deal.
Flat out says, for every party member from Natlan who is a different elemental type from the equipping character, said character gains bonus attack. Now there have been weapons that tap into specific mechanics like the ones that came out that interface with Dendro reactions, but to my knowledge, the last and only time they made a weapon that expressly states you need a character from a specific region was the Lithic Blade from Liyue. On a side note, I remember they made a weapon for units who don't have an arc alignment to deal Numa or Sia damage. I think it was called Narcissus and Cruz. It would be helpful if Hoyo can release a weapon that gives the wielder the ability to enter Night Soul Blessing or count as a Natlan character.
I think if they have the, well, obviously they have the ability to do that, right? If they release a weapon that allows you to deal Night Soul Blessing, that 1000% alleviates the problem. Like, let's just keep it a buck. But it has to be one weapon for each individual class. I mean, realistically, I could see them doing something like a little bit like how Widowing Waves does, where it's like it's a blanket, all the standard weapons are blanket energy regen, and then they all have like attack or maybe 1 or 2 has crit rate on them. You could do something like that where you have a multitude of weapons where they're basic functionalities. They're really not doing anything crazy, and the stats are pretty basic, but you're able to use that to activate this Night Soul stuff. The reason why they will not do that is because they have to power creep people like Shang Lang, like Bennett, like Kazuha, like Zincho / Ylan, although they kind of did that already a little bit, but whatever. So I don't believe that would be the case. Do I think they should do it? I think it's dope. Do I think it's what there's something they're going to do? No, I don't believe so.
But I digress.
We'll see.
To be fair, when Arlecchino came out, there was that artifact set that involved Bond of Life, which has a similar context of catering towards a select group of characters. But considering Arlecchino hails from Snezhnaya and Clorinde is Fontainian, I'm inclined to believe there's a possibility more than just Fontaine characters will have a Bond of Life mechanic. Regardless, this is the most amount of region-locked content we've ever.
I don't think we're going to see that Bond of Life mechanic again. I really don't. I don't think it's. I would be happy if we did. But I don't think that we will, and I think the reason why the Bond of Life mechanic worked is because Bond of Life only worked with 2 characters, right? It worked with those 2 specific characters, and then after that, that was kind of it. The rest of it was really using more Chasey. And so Bond of Life was not a bad thing, where obviously Arlecchino power creep 2 Tau, but 3 years later, that's fine. That's okay. 4 months later from when Arlecchino came out, or 3 months later from Arlecchino came out, that's a little crazy, right? And so it's one thing when, again, it's just 2 characters, maybe even 3 using Bond of Life, but when your whole region cast is, A, only traversing well on Natlan, B, locked behind Natlan mechanics, that's a very different scenario. We're looking at very, very different things here. So I just want to make that apparently clear. I get what he's saying, and it's not that he's wrong, but I think Bond of Life was more acceptable. And I don't think anyone really saw it coming. I didn't see it come like that. But hey, maybe I'm just slow, you know?
Seen. Is that a good or bad thing? It really depends. From my point of view, the jury's still out on whether you can definitively call this a good or bad thing.
I think it's bad.
Natlan just came out. Depending on how they go about it, this will either make Genshin more fun than ever or ruin the game. Not too long ago was Imaginarium Theater, which as you know was a very controversial release of the game due in no small part to the mandatory character requirement, putting pressure on players
There's like a whole 20-minute segment on Endgame and Imaginary Theater if you want to go rewatch that. I ain't gonna speak on Imaginary Theater again.
To pull for and or use characters they may not want to use. Granted, that's not the only problem with the game mode, but that character requirement has been cited for being exclusionary towards players who don't have that many units, whether it's because they can't afford to, or because they've only been playing for a short while. Forced necessity is a way to balance out a character roster by creating more scenarios where even niche or suboptimal units can be desirable purely for the sake of there being no other option. But there's a difference between encouraging players to use certain characters and obligating them to do so. In light of Genshin's difficulty ceiling, even with the advent of World Level 9 not reaching a high enough point to require min-maxing like other gachas do, a common point I made in other videos is that there's no incentive to build characters or do anything more than the bare minimum because the game doesn't pressure you to. And while this technically constitutes pressure, the main downside of region locking is that it can be tiresome to have to build up an entire new lineup of characters just to be able to play comfortably in Natlan. Again, I'm not trying to say that non-Natlan characters are unusable in Natlan, but depending on how far they plan to go with the Night Soul and
he won't say it, I'll say it. They're not. Other than Shan Yun and maybe Kaza, Farina, you can't walk on lava, right? They are pretty much non-usable. It's just straight up. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like that's not a hot take. That's just how they have physically coded Natlan to be that way. So they could say it. It's the truth. It's the truth, brother. They have made these characters subpar so that way they could sell more Natlan characters to gain more monetary value. But then my whole problem was you design these kits and these kits aren't even like enough to traverse through the world, right? So it just feels like a failed attempt to me. If they designed characters that felt more fluid, that felt like I could actually travel a lot faster than just, the 10 or 15 seconds of Mualani, I'd be cool with it. Maybe we might get a mount. I mean, they teased the mount for riding a dragon. That's something different. That's cool. Sick. I ain't gonna complain about that. But I feel like they have absolutely undelivered so far. I looked at I don't know if it was I Win to Lose. I feel like it was. They did a video with Kanich, and after doing the Spider-Man, their cooldown was still 4 seconds. So I could Spider-Man every 4 seconds, and that was out of combat. So I don't know, man. I think it's silly. I think it's silly, man. I really do.
Mono-Natlan parties and whatnot. If the game's power scaling falls accordingly, it can be punishing for players who don't want to or can't afford to pull for an entire cast of units just to make a functioning party. For example, a huge reason why Mono Geo has not been a popular team comp even back when it wasn't half bad was because of the investment Florin had. You're essentially facing a similar situation here. You need to pull for a brand new team, and some players just don't have the resources to do it very fast. My hope is that they're going to shower us with a bunch of Natlan 4-stars quickly so that free-to-play players don't have to wait months just to get their first Natlan party. But that's where I find issue with this. Part of what drove excitement for new characters is how they affected older characters. When Dendro came out, people were excited to see how they would change Electro.
Bro, they're not giving away 2 other 4-star Natlan characters. They're not. They're not giving away 2 other 4-star Natlan characters for free. Maybe one if we're lucky. But they're not giving away that many free characters to Natlan. I just don't see it. It'd be cool if they did, but I just don't see it happening. I don't.
And Hydro. Not to mention it's easy to gear up just one character as opposed to 4. When all the best damage dealers came out, you had a team of supports on deck to get them going. Or vice versa, if a new top tier support came out, most players likely have at least 1 or 2 damage dealers to make use of them. This is the first time you have units that come out, but you don't have a best in slot party for them already. I suppose you can use Mualani with Xiangling or Farina or Kasaha and whatnot, but given the sheer power offered by the Natlan artifacts and the possible strength of future characters, I'm assuming previously existing supports are not going to constitute a best in slot. That alone can be a deal breaker. Maybe you want to pull from Mavuika, but you don't also want to have to pull 3 other units to complete your party. Bottom line, I would say the main downside.
I don't even think it's one of those things where like theory crafters could try to pull something out of their ass and be like, well, I ran the numbers. And Xiangling is still better than the Paiwa Akan. Widoway. These artifact sets have enabled these other characters to be power creep. Like it's just not even an option. Like Mualani's just gonna get better. Kanich is just gonna get better. So you know what I mean? Like these characters, they're broken, but they're only broken. Well, they're good without the other supports, but they're gonna be even more broken when you have other Natlan characters. So yeah, it's kind of
to region locking is that gatekeeping players can be a turnoff. Perhaps for long-time players who are growing bored and want to try something different, they'll be cool with this. But for new players or those without the wherewithal to spend, the idea of characters being good only when paired with characters from the same region might not be too appealing to them compared to someone who can work with party members regardless of region. Mind you, combat efficiency is not compromised in any way. So far, the only part of Milani that's hindered is her exploration mechanics. She'll still be able to do her full DPS and stuff. Either way, I think depending on who you ask, the pressure to pull for a brand new squad of units all at once can be a bit jarring. Now, on the other hand, there might be a benefit to this approach, first and foremost being that it can be a way to encourage niche team compositions that don't outright power creep everyone else. A week or two ago, I made a video talking about how perceptions of Milani have been skewed by the fact that Novelet Jesus modes everything, begging the question, why would you ever pull for another Hydra unit? While I'm certain Novelet will still be...
I think people don't have the full picture of Milani's capabilities. I think a lot of people are going to be upset when they find out that Mulan is... I truly do think she's going to do more damage than Novelet. I know that she does screenshot damage, and she doesn't do as much AoE damage as Novelet, and her ease of use is not as easy, as Novelet. But I do think people are going to feel guilty when they don't pull her because, excuse me, Novelet is goated. Novelet is God. But Novelet is not going to match this Natlan. Novelet is not going to match the Natlan support set on top of the 40 plus buff she gets on her nuke ult on top of all these other Natlan characters. Like, Novelet Farina is just not going to do it. So I think that's just people being silly. I don't think Novelet's a mistake. I think that nobody ever thought Novelet would be Powercreep, and then here we are. That I think is crazy.
More than useful when fighting across Natlan, giving mechanics that encourage Natlan units can allow for multiple top-tier performers to exist without having to power them all up Dragon Ball Z style. Over in Honkai Star Rail, they have a plethora of engines like follow-up attacks, damage over time, traditional hyper carry, super break, and counterattacks. At times, one engine may be slightly better than the others, but they all stay competitive with each other. Diversifying the number of ways you can go about combat is one way to control power creep, and in a way they were already doing that in Fontaine. Do I think making Natlan characters good only within the Natlan characters is a bit extreme? Possibly, but this enables units to have a chance to shine and not shining infesting every single party like a copy pasta. I feel like right now, Hoyo's in a situation where they're trying to market new characters to players, but they also don't want to go too crazy on one-upping one unit after another since other gachas do that, and it tends to devolve into excessive power inflation.
They're doing that.
What's one way they can release a top-tier Dendro character who can match Alhaitham in usefulness without having to directly compete against him? By giving Kanish a unique niche of his own. Of course, this would have to be complemented by content released to motivate us to work on many units like how Star Rail has half a dozen endgame modes. It's all about perception and circumstance. Depending on who you ask, region locking's a way for players who have...
Star Rail does a good job. Actually, people think that Star Rail has too much power creep, and that's a different conversation that is something we could talk about. But Star Rail does a good job of pretty much balancing it to the point where if you go to Pridewind, right? If we go to Pridewind one now, right? And then if I go to Pure Fiction, the T0 changes. And then if I go to Apocalyptic Shadow, T0 changes. Now, granted, these two are just too broken, right? But look at through all of these other roles, all the characters change, right? You will have some people that are consistently just in the top because they are just genuinely that good. But the meta does change. Someone like Himiko was absolutely dog shit when the game came out. And then Himiko is now a T0 character for Pure Fiction. So Star Rail does this great thing where they're able to balance it because they have so much endgame content and so many different modes. Genshin Impact doesn't have that. Genshin Impact doesn't have that.
Bored with doing the same monotonous routine over and over again to try something new because the game is actually making them try something new. At the same time, region locking can be suffocating for a player who might feel blindsided by the sudden demand for all the new stuff they had to work on. It's a fine line for them to try. They want to encourage us to pull for and use new characters, but they also can't force us to play a certain way, especially if it differs from how we were expected to play in the past. Part of me believes this will be less tricky of a dilemma if they conduct a Genshin Impact like this from the very start, region locking since Mondstadt. That they're adding this in right now is why I'm personally unsure about whether this is a good or bad thing. Again, on one hand it can be refreshing to try out a brand new party for a change, but on the other, if it reaches a point where you're forced to go that new party or risk falling behind, that can be unfair too. I will say, however, that region locking is extremely risky to do in a gacha since characters cost money. If it was a completely free-to-play game or buy and play like a Steam game or something, and you have free access to all characters, then yeah, more power to them. But it's because we don't have free access to all characters that I can imagine this being interpreted as predatory. I would have no problem dropping everything and starting from scratch with every region if every character, including 5 stars, was grindable, but considering it can cost several hundreds of dollars to pull for even one character and their signature weapon, let alone 5 or 10, that's a bit much to ask. Now they can always alleviate this by giving us tons of free Natlan characters to play with. For instance, I really hope the Pyro Traveler can use Night Soul and counts as a Natlan character. Or better yet, I hope the
if the Pyro Traveler is dog shit, doesn't have any Night Soul or pretty much anything to it, it will easily be the biggest flop of all time. There's no way, excuse me, they're gonna tie this homie to lore and then make him try. Like, there's just, like, it has to be like, even if he's good without Night Soul, I still think that's a massive W. I want him to be main DPS. I don't think he'll hit Arlecchino numbers. Bro, make him as strong as Hu Tao. Why not? Hu Tao's been power crept. Hu Tao's gone. She's not the meta anymore. Make him a variation of Hu Tao, brother, right? But allow him to be considered as a Night Soul unit, because that is what they're going with. That's their whole meta now. And it's like, if they don't do that, then that's like, just shows how greedy they are, you know?
So good for once, because
that
we're
I'm kind of
expected
like,
to go mono Natlan teams, having a good free unit in the form of Pyro Traveler, like how we had Harmony MC for Starwell, can be a great asset for that. But what do you guys think? Do you think Natlan having region-exclusive mechanics is a good or bad thing for the game? I welcome you to share your thoughts in the comments. That's it for today though, so if you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you left a like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars II, join my Discord server, and check out my other Natlan discussion videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Take care. Hangnail, it's pissing me off. Shout out to Vars, man. Great video, great discussion. I do think Hangnail's pissing me off. I do think this has more negatives than positives. I think this one does has more negatives than positives. And I think that this is going to kill Genshin Impact. Oh my god. We're never going to recover. I will never financially recover from this. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to, like, kill the game. But I think, I don't know. I think it might. I was going to say it might turn people off. But realistically, looking at the player base of Genshin, it might not. It might generate them more money. We'll see, right? We'll see in 15 days to see how these two banners do on the Tower Sensory Report. Now, that's obviously only mobile, mainly a mobile game, though. The argument I've been told by people is that it's a mobile game, so we'll see what happens. But I do think this is overall a net negative. I don't think this is a positive for the game. I do think this is a positive for new incoming players, to a sense, to a degree, because they're not able to unlock their full character kits without pulling other units. So although it might be kind of a positive, it's also still a negative, because what if you can't get those other 4 stars or those other 5 stars that work with Mualani, and now you're screwed, and now it's 5.4 and all these people are not synergizing. You know, with Honky Starbucks, the thing with it, the reason why their power creep helps new players is because they don't have that problem